台湾，你们让我很高兴。我希望你们很喜欢这个 YouTube interview. Like and subscribe. 大家好, my name is Melody and I'm from New Jersey and I also live in New York City. I'm half Taiwanese. My mom is from Taichung County, Taiwan, and my dad is European American. He grew up in New Jersey. 大家好，我叫郝运莲，在美国我出生的和长大的。我的爸爸是美国人，我的妈妈是台湾人。在美国我上大学。
嗨，大家好，我是 Jack， 欢迎回来肥Jack台湾日记，台湾正妹我来了。今天啊，我有一个美女在我旁边，Pretty Girl， 真美。她叫 Melody， 嗨，你好
Melody， 你好 Jackson，
Melody 是混血 mix， 她又像外国人、白人，又像亚洲人。OK， 等一下我就跟她聊天，去了解一下她的 background 啊，她来台湾做什么。So Melody 是从美国回来台湾。
对啊 ，summer vacation。现在我没有大学的课，所以我可以去台湾3个月。
你是美国人？
对啊，对啊，我是美国人，我上美国的学校，在纽约我出生的，在 New Jersey 我长大的。我的爸爸会说一点中文，因为他毕业后去台湾上工作哦，所以在台湾他跟我的妈妈出去玩 ，so they meet in Taiwan and 我的妈妈会说英文，我的妈妈想跟我的爸爸去美国 ，and my parents both met mostly as Christians at the church and in Taiwan. So my dad liked going to Taiwan because he could practice his religious beliefs and eventually they both moved to America with each other. I'm 20 and then my younger brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. 对啊 I should have said my age first, but I am 20 years old.
年轻very young.
对啊
young and 美女。
谢谢。
刚才啊 ，just now talk to you， 跟你聊天，你说以前因为你是mixed，
对啊。
以前你年轻 when you were young， 你有一些 like identity problem or
对啊
racism or discrimination，
对啊，
歧视的，你可以简单讲一下what happened，
对啊，
你可以讲一些 example， 因为可能some 台湾人就不明白 ，they don't understand what is racist。
对啊，
因为台湾，我觉得是台湾 don't have racism。
Yeah， 文化不一样。So when I was younger, I looked at the statistics of my area, the town I grew up in, and when I was going to the local school, 4% of the people in my town were Asian. Everybody else, New Jersey. And most of the other population, though there's Hispanic, Black people, and other races, more and more ethnic cultures, my town specifically had white people. So growing up, when it came to people naming the different races in my town, when it came to the Asian list, my name was up on that list because, you know, there's not a lot of Asian people. So people always identified me as an Asian person rather than white, which is completely different from nowadays because more people identify me as a white person. But growing up in the town I live in, because there were so many, there was a lot less Asian people. I grew up in an environment where I often heard very racist things towards me and my mom, whereas I would get, you know, racism about my looks. When it came to events where people brought their parents to conferences or the parents picked them up, my mom was always one of the only Asian
in the school.
And so when it came to talking to my mom, she had a Taiwanese accent. She did sound a little bit Asian, despite having been learning English. So that was always a factor that a lot of people took into account. Some people appreciated it, but I would say at the time being racist was funny or people didn't know much about it. I do think that the things I experienced as a kid are very different from what most Asian kids in my town now would experience, especially with the internet and education and, you know, more immigrants coming into America and wanting to understand those different cultures.
Any example, like people laugh at you or mock at you?
When I was about 15, 16 years old, I went to this boarding school. There was this girl who was my roommate, and there was a time where...
She's white.
Yeah, she was white. And I remember I had a friend who was learning Chinese, a white friend. And she was practicing her Chinese, and this girl starts, you know, mocking, being like, oh, is that Chinese? And, you know, I was nearby, so I was listening. And I told her, I'm half Asian, I'm half Taiwanese, but heritage-wise, I'm Chinese. And this girl, at the moment, stretched her eyes out like this, and she went, ching tong ding dong, ching tong ding dong, and did this for about 2 minutes straight. And I
2 minutes?
Yeah, and just looking at her Chinese homework, the other girls, and just saying this in front of me, like laughing. And when I didn't really give a reaction, because I didn't laugh, I didn't cry, I just kind of stared. I didn't know how to even feel in that kind of situation. That was the first time I had ever had somebody do that right to my face in the way that she did. And I just remember there was another girl who was partially Asian, and once they left the room, I was like, do you just let her do that? Like, does that not offend you? Because that's very racist. And the girl kind of just said, that's just how it is. And I just remember that, like, a lot of situations where there was racism after that, people would say that's how it is. I think in the past few years after COVID, that changed a lot with different movements, supporting different racial groups. I think that changed a lot. But I remember at the time when COVID was becoming a problem, anybody that was Chinese at that school, I remember there were white kids, this is the same school with the same population, they would be like, are you Chinese? Are you from China? Stay away from me, I don't want your COVID. I don't want your coronavirus. Even though those Chinese students had been at the school for months.
For a long time.
They hadn't even gone back to China for several months. So it's like, how would they get this virus? I was about 10 years old, and most of my town, again, white. And I remember I had a crush on this white boy, and he found out because people talked about it. And he told to an entire group of people, I would never want to be with that Asian troll. And like a troll is like a 难看的 mythical creature. Yeah, and so at that moment I knew that not only was I disliked because I was Asian, but I wasn't even seen as like a person. Because if you call me a troll, you're calling me something that's barely human. And that was one of the first racist experiences I ever had as a kid. And I just remember coming home to my mom and just being like, why did you give birth to me? Like, I don't want to exist. Like, why do I have to be Asian? It's your fault that I'm Asian and that I'm bullied every day. And my mom just didn't know what to say. And just a year later, after that school, I went into middle school. And that's when I went to 跟我的朋友去派对. It's like bat mitzvah. It's for
party.
Yeah, and it's I went with my friends, and I remember we were all dancing to American pop music. And I was in the middle of the dance floor, and there was this girl with another group of kids looking at me and kind of giving me like a gross look, kind of obviously talking and saying very bad things about me. But I just shrugged it off. The next day when I went to school, a group of kids came up to me and they were like, do you know what she was saying about you? And I was like, well, I knew she was saying something bad about me, but I don't know what. And they said, if we tell you, you can't get mad because you're not gonna like it. And I said, just tell me what she said. And this girl, just watching me dance and have fun with her friends, said, is that Melody? Isn't she Asian? Why is she dancing with all those white girls like that? She's Asian, like, what is she doing? The implication was because I was Asian, I didn't have a right to dance as, you know, as crazy as I did with the other white girls, and that I was out of place by being with them. And I remember crying when I heard that from people, but I remember after that, I just felt like I couldn't even be comfortable liking a boy, going to a party to have fun. I have so many other experiences where I'm the only Asian person, even though I'm half, even though I'm mixed, I was the only Asian person in the room and heard extremely disgusting things being said about Asian or Taiwanese or Chinese people. And I just kind of had to sit there because I was the odd one out. 谢谢台湾，你们让我很高兴。我希望你们很喜欢这个 YouTube interview. Like and subscribe.